Hi, and welcome to the Coming Strength and Fitness Fitcast. I'm Jill, coach and owner of CS&F, and I'm here along with my team to take your fitness experience to a new level. In each episode, we'll bring you helpful conversations with our coaches, members, and guests to provide additional value to your gym experience and understanding to our mission at CS&F to change lives through fitness. Hope you enjoy the episode.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning back into the Coming Strength and Fitness Fitcast, a podcast designed specifically to help you take your fitness to the next level. I'm your host, Coach Alex, and if we have not met, it is such a great pleasure to have you tuning in today. In the studio, we have the one, the only head coach of Coming Strength and Fitness, Jordan Burnett. Jordan, did I say your last name right?
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever actually said that out loud. I would just
Burnett,
call you Jordan.
yeah.
Burnett. Jordan, what is one word to encapsulate your morning this far? Because we're recording this about mid-afternoon. How is your day going?
Oh, man. We do Monday morning, we go over all the numbers for the gym and our coaches, all like full-time coaches meeting. And then I coach 2 classes back-to-back, 11:30 and 12:30. So you're catching me after
all of that. Well, I hope we can get some good content out of you. Hopefully you can channel in your inner Jordan and give us something good here today. Jordan, this episode is all about you. And the reason we specifically designated an episode all to you is because you are one of the main head honchos at this gym. I mean, you do a lot of up front, behind the scenes work. I mean, you do all of our programming. You are over all of our coaches. You do a lot here, and a lot of Coming Strength and Fitness's success and story is really built upon what you have been doing, your active participation in that. So we really wanted to dig deep into you, into your story, into your background, why you enjoy it. And so just to paint the picture of who Coach Jordan is so that people can get to know you a little bit better. So with that being said, Jordan, why don't we just go ahead and take a few minutes on give us just your personal story, maybe 2, 3, 4 minutes, and kind of loop that into how you got personally involved with CrossFit, and just we'll kind of take it from there.
Yeah, sure. So sport, I guess we'll talk about sports and fitness background. We'll get into like my career background later, but sports background in very young, like grade school, elementary, middle school, I played basketball. I love basketball. I was a point guard, and I basically say that everybody else kept getting taller, and I stayed the same height, and then I decided that basketball was no longer for me. So,
because for someone who hasn't met you, how tall are you? What is your stature?
5'6", unless I'm wearing lifters.
Great point guard physique.
Yeah. So. Loved basketball, kind of quit that in like 7th, 8th grade, and switched to wrestling, mostly because my older brother wrestled. And I somehow landed in the unfortunate position of always having to wrestle up a weight class. So I was like a 104 pounds wrestling at 112 in middle school, and then somehow I switched high schools and was 122 pounds wrestling 130. So I basically got decimated in wrestling. I was not great at it. And this was back in mid-2000s when people could cut 20, 25 pounds, and there was no issue with it. So I wrestled and then did a little bit of cross-country. Never really found like a sport that I loved. I mean, basketball was probably like the closest thing to a sport that I loved. So ended up doing some like various sports endeavors in high school. I did like youth apprenticeship in high school, junior and senior year. I actually worked 7 days a week. So I worked 4 days a week, or 4 hours a day, 3 days, and then 7 hours a day, 4 other days.
Oh, wow.
So I worked 40 hours a week, junior and senior year of high school.
Now, did you grow up and go to school in the Cumming area, or where did you grow up?
No, so I went to elementary school in Winder, Georgia, and then middle school in Jefferson, Georgia, high school back in Winder, Georgia, and then I went to college in both Gainesville at Gainesville State College and then Southern Polytech in Marietta.
Oh, wow. You were all over the place.
Yeah, I was kind of all over. But sports-wise, like I said, I worked in high school, kind of got out of athletics, wasn't like my older brother was super gifted in athletics, and I was kind of never naturally talented in athletics. So I, followed kind of what he did bodybuilding routines at like the YMCA. But I mean, I tell people I didn't squat or deadlift until I was basically 21. I think like I did upper body, like bodybuilding type stuff. And after doing bodybuilding for a while, I do remember there was one point where I stumbled upon like a bodybuilding.com program that was basically the origins of HIIT, like high intensity interval training wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
But one of the bodybuilding programs, like Get Shredded, whatever, was you would do like a circuit of dumbbells and barbells, then you would go run, then you would come back and do more. And that was like the fittest I had ever gotten. And that was kind of like my first intro into anything high intensity. But again, I was kind of underweight, never really like squatted, deadlifted, anything like that. So I kind of fell into powerlifting in college, did like the whole Windler and all that stuff, just squat, bench, deadlift, press for a while, did that. And I kind of got anything that was single modality, I kind of got bored of it. Like I didn't like CrossFit because it was, or I didn't like cross country because it was single modality. It was running. I didn't like wrestling because it was a lot of conditioning. I didn't like powerlifting because it was all barbell slow. Bodybuilding was all high rep. Like they all kind of, I kind of wanted something that had a lot of variety. And I stumbled upon CrossFit. I think the way I actually found CrossFit was like the 300 movie, if you remember.
With Gerard Butler?
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah, so I legit think that I was reading something and like the trainer who trained those dudes like was explaining their routine. It was full body and like
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah. I mean, in the mid 2000s, like there weren't many people training like that. Like if you saw someone in the gym squatting, you were like, oh, they must play football.
Exactly.
Or like, it wasn't, like normal people didn't do that.
Because a quick history on CrossFit, it really didn't come to the prominent culture society until really 2007, 2008, 2009. I mean, they had the training methodology slightly before that, but this is a relatively fresh sport. So we're talking mid 2000s. We're only going back 13 years, you know, so it's very fresh.
Yeah, I mean, in Winder, like, there was no CrossFit gym. Like, you couldn't find a CrossFit gym. There was no equipment. Like, you didn't know. So I think that's how I stumbled upon CrossFit, and I taught myself a lot of the movements myself, which is, like, what a lot of people did back then. You get on YouTube, and, like, one of the first pieces of equipment I bought was muscle driver rings. So I actually set up – Muscle Driver's not even in business anymore, but I bought a pair of muscle driver rings, put them in my garage, and taught myself a muscle up within like a matter of days, which was probably the ugliest muscle up you've ever seen. But I did it, and I did CrossFit kind of on my own for a while. Literally would go to the YMCA and do like bar muscle ups on a knurled like grip pull-up bar. So like my hands would, I have photos of my hands just like being shredded by a cheese grater because you didn't know. Nobody knew. Like I didn't know what the difference was.
Sure.
Right.
You had nothing to compare it to. You're like, oh, this is what it is.
You didn't know what bumper plates were. You didn't know what like bearing barbells were. There were no smooth grip pull-up bars. I mean, everything. I think now people have it easy because everything is integrated. Like Rogue sells everything.
Sure.
But back then, if you wanted the equipment to do a CrossFit workout, you'd have to get the bar from a Olympic lifting gym and then a bar from a gymnastics gym. The rings from it was like it wasn't all integrated like it is today. So that's kind of how I stumbled into it.
So you are YouTubing, piecing together this CrossFit weird training that no one's really doing about maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Now fast forward until today, this is 2021.
Mm-hmm.
Your journey through CrossFit as far as an athletic and your coaching career has really, drastically improved. But you haven't always full-time coach. You did work in the marketplace. Talk to us really quick about that story.
Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, I worked through high school. So one of my jobs was in IT, like very basic. I'll remove a virus from your computer. I will fix your hard drive, blah, 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 build computers. The other was like a grocery store type, bagging groceries and being a cashier type job. So I leaned more into the IT side because the pay was great. I mean, it was like literally every teacher I had, again, this is 2008, 2009, in all of the like computer apps classes, they were like, if you follow IT, you will make a bunch of money. And I for whatever reason, I was like one of the only people that was like, oh, I'm doing that. Like I'm definitely going that route. So I did IT through high school, and then I actually did it through college. I went to school 2 days a week and still worked 3 days a week. And then I think junior year or sophomore year of college, I actually got like my first gig with a real IT company. It was like a Cisco value-added reseller. So it was a smaller company called AdCap in Alpharetta. And that was kind of like my big break where I actually made, full-time money. So that's kind of where I started in the career world. So that's
what year
started.
is that?
That's 2013, maybe. I think 2013 is when I started that.
So around there, you get into IT, and then you also find another job. You're doing IT consulting, but there comes a point in your story where you kind of realize, man, either A, I don't want to look at a computer screen and sit here my entire life, or B, I kind of want to give back. I want to join a greater story that's bigger than myself. I want to give back, which led you to serve in your local church with like a high school environment. And it kind of led to this, I really do like more this coaching rather than working out as far as coaching athletes in this cross methodology. So your narrative really does take a different form from this 2013, about 8 years ago. So continue from there.
Yeah, so I mean, I would say I started like most people in their career where you're chasing the money. I mean, you're kind of like, more money is better. When I get to 6 figures, it'll be better. Then you get to 6 figures and you're like, well, when I get to multiple 6 figures, it'll be better. And then you keep chasing it. And I did that. I mean, I worked 80 to 100-hour weeks for a long time in the IT consulting world and kind of like built my career, talked to the right people, developed the right skills, got the right certifications, and like took the right basically projects to get to where I was in my career. And like you said, at some point, I don't really know what prompted it, but, I am a person of faith, and maybe it was kind of that angle that kind of prompted it. But at some point I was like, I was looking at the people who were further down the career path that I was in. I was looking at my manager and directors, and I kind of was like, is that what I want to be? In 10, 20, 30 years, is that what I want to be? And then are the tasks I'm doing daily making an impact on the world, right? Because a lot of my daily job back then was you go into a building, you're consulting with a customer. I may go into a building and sit in a data closet for 8 hours and not talk to anybody, right? I may go into a data center and not talk to anybody for days on end, stuff like that. I might just be sitting behind a computer. And a lot of it's just deploying network equipment. And I didn't feel like I was giving anything to the world. Like it was kind of, I remember one time we took out a network that somebody else had deployed, and I was like, well, what I'm putting in here is like really temporary. Like this network I'm deploying, somebody in 5-10 years is going to take it out, and then all of that, life energy I spent on it is going to be gone. So my initial reaction was not like, oh, I'm going to go coach CrossFit. My initial reaction was, well, there has to be some way I can give back where I can keep the paycheck and then, just continue serving elsewhere. That kind of led me to North Point Inside Out, and I wanted to do that for like multiple reasons. One was I didn't have a youth group, a large youth group when I was in a small town church in Winder that my dad actually was a pastor of. So we always had youth group, but it would be kids from 5 years old to 18 years old. And
all
it was
the same
like,
group.
What are you going to talk about
in
a group where you have a 12-year-old and an 18-year-old?
Right.
They're in very different stages of life, and you can't really address the real issues they have going on. That obviously you're not going to talk to a 12-year-old about what an 18-year-old is facing. So I volunteered, and again, it kind of just it was good. It did give me some fulfillment, but I think at some point, like I'm a math-oriented guy, and spending 8 hours a day working on networks and IT and security and stuff, and then 2 hours a week with those guys, and then you are involved as well, right? It's not like you have control over their lives and what they do and like all the impact in the world.
You're an influence, but not the biggest influence.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to dedicate that 40 hours a week or whatever it is that you work to making the world a better place and giving back however I could. And if I could make a living doing it, that would be awesome too. So
that hit, and now Coming Strength and Fitness.
Yeah.
So you realized, oh, Coming Strength and Fitness, I'm in the area. There's an opportunity to join this gym.
Yeah.
But this wasn't your only opportunity. Like, you were also looking around. Why Coming Strength and Fitness? What led you here?
Yeah. So I originally, again, I started part-time coaching at the gym I used to go to in Roswell, Georgia, and I loved it. I mean, I loved coaching people and helping people. And it wasn't really holistic. It was kind of just like lead a class and, fix people's air squats, fix their push press, whatever. And originally, back in 2018, I had bought a condo, sold the condo, and my initial thought was, I'm going to open a gym, right? I had the cash from selling the house. I was like, all right, I'm going to find a space. So I spent, I don't know, 6 to 9 months. I had, the name picked out. I had logos. I was vetting coaches. I was searching for spaces. I had business plans. How are we going to pay people? All that stuff figured out. And it just never really worked out. I mean, I contacted several commercial brokers to find space. I drove around and tried to look at every space I could find. And the market was just really, I mean, this is 2018, 2019. And even now, like, industrial space is really challenging to find. Retail space usually either has an existing fitness tenant, like a Lifetime or LA Fitness, with a fitness restriction. So they basically say, hey, we're a big tenant, and if we sign this lease, you're going to agree that no other fitness companies can come in. So I found that a lot of times. I found a lot of even non-fitness businesses would have fitness restrictions. So retail was really challenging to start a space, and it's also like 4 to 5 times more expensive. Industrial, again, with like the e-commerce stuff we have going on now, like those spaces are pretty hot right now. So I never really found a space, and then I was kind of just like teetering on the edge. I wasn't doing a lot in IT. I wasn't coaching a ton either. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't really know what the next step was. And then one of my friends, Chris Sexton, that I actually trained with, I have no idea how the conversation came up, but he told me, we're looking for coaches at Coming Strength and Fitness. I had known about the gym a little bit. Like, I knew it was a pretty professional gym and well run, but I didn't know a lot about it. So he told me about that opening. I kind of came up here and then got introduced to Jill and Hunter. So that's kind of how I found Coming Strength and Fitness.
When was that? When were you introduced to Jill and Hunter?
June of 2019, I think. Okay. July, June of 2019.
So you've been doing CrossFit for a while. You have been to a lot of different gyms. You wanted to open your own gym. You had this vision. You coached at a gym in Roswell.
Yeah.
But you are here at Coming Strength and Fitness as the head coach. What makes this gym different from all the other gyms?
Yeah. I'd say the biggest thing that sticks out from a coach's perspective is they give coaches the opportunity to make a living. So that was kind of, again, when I coached part-time and even when I searched for other coaching opportunities, it was, we're going to pay you anywhere from 15 to 25 a class, and that is the max you can make, right? So it was, you're pretty much getting paid the same as maybe like an Amazon sorter or something like that for something that, if you do it right, takes a lot of energy.
Sure.
Right? It's very easy to turn on a clock and turn on some music and just say, all right, guys, we're thrusters and pull-ups. But if you're really coaching, cueing, correcting, and then developing the relationships, like, it does take a lot of energy. It's not a mindless activity. So, CS&F kind of offered me the opportunity to make a living. I didn't know it would kind of end up how it was. I honestly at the time thought it was going to be, I'll do IT consulting a few hours a week and then coach, and it kind of just spiraled and developed into kind of what it is today, where I can make a living coaching CrossFit.
So there's a difference between being an athlete and being a coach, where you are both. You train and you coach. What is one of your favorite things about being a coach? Because we kind of talked about that in your story of you eventually stepped aside from the IT software world into more of this giving back world, fulfilling this inner need. There's a whole gamut of benefits of being a coach and helping different people. But what would you say is just one thing that sticks out to you on what is like one of your favorite things about being a coach?
Yeah. One of my favorite things, it's probably just making an impact on people and getting them comfortable with fitness and kind of making or creating a comfortable environment where they can come into the gym, get their fitness on, and then over time seeing how they change. I really like seeing how usually like people, if they go from I'm not working out at all to I have a fitness routine, everything else in their lives gets better. Like usually they like good habits attract good habits. So if they come in here and they start exercising, usually their careers are on an upward trajectory, which is really cool. Relationships usually on an upward trajectory. So it's fulfilling for me to get to influence their day and be like a positive influence on their day for that 1 hour a day, which is cool. And I mean, over a week's time, right, that may be 5 hours of their life, which again, we went back to talking about Inside Out. That may make or break their day, right? If I can give them a positive influence and encourage them and, help them work on their movement, work on their nutrition, work on all that stuff. I really like that aspect of being a coach, just kind of coaching the whole athlete. And, that's what we try and do here, a little bit different from other gyms, is we coach the whole athlete, not just we're here to provide a spin class, and once you finish the spin class, get out.
Right. So say some of the members of Coming Strength and Fitness right now are listening, maybe specifically your athletes or just the whole community in general. What would you say to them right now?
In regard to what?
If you could only say one thing, you're leaving, let's say you're got recruited to go over to Europe and you're never coming back and you're leaving them with this one thing, what would you tell the community?
I would say stick with it. I mean, fitness takes time. I think everybody kind of deep down knows that, but fitness is kind of like that toilet paper roll analogy, which is like you pull off a sheet of toilet paper and it seems like nothing's changed. And then like 5 days later, you have no toilet paper, right? That's how people lose weight. That's how people gain weight. And a lot of times they won't see the change. But you've probably had this experience where somebody comes to your class really consistently, then they leave for 3 months or whatever. They come back and maybe they've really been working on their nutrition, and you're like, wow, like you look totally different, like you're transformed. And they're like, oh, I don't really notice it. But you don't notice that in the mirror every day because you can't notice those small changes. It's kind of like the toilet paper analogy. So I would just say stick with it. Real results take time, and focus more on the habits and what you're actually doing versus being all results oriented, because, results in the fitness world take a long time. And, we chatted about this a while back, that fitness is one of the only things I can think of that you can't pay people to do for you, if that makes sense.
Unpack that a little bit.
Yeah. So I guess imagining you're Jeff Bezos or whoever, right? And
money is not an option.
Yeah. You have unlimited money. From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, you can pay someone to do almost everything in your life for you, right? You can pay someone to wake you up,
make you food,
make your bed,
do your laundry.
Yeah. Brush your teeth, which is weird, but you actually could pay someone to floss your teeth, brush your teeth.
Jordan's taking openings right now.
Yeah. Like you could pay someone actually to deal with your kids, right? A lot of people do have nannies. Like you could actually offload that. You could pay someone to prep your food, clean your house. Like there's not many things you can pay, or there's not many things you can't pay people to do for you. Exercise is one of the things that you have to do it for yourself, right? The other things are like relationships and faith. Like those things you can't really pay someone else to do them for you. They have to come of your own free will. So.
It's funny because I was actually talking with some friends years ago, and I posed the question, what can't someone give you? And it's the same thing of like, what can't you pay money for? Yeah. But when you boil down those three, and I'm sure there's several more that we're missing, but your fitness, your health, your relationships, your marriage, your kids, some of those pivotal relationships, your community, your faith with Christ, your purpose with the community. I mean, when you boil it down one more level, it really does unpack some of the most meaningful things to you. I mean, for me, those are some of the most important things to me. So that's why I think it's so important to be in a community like this that's striving to increase our health and fitness, because like you said, it's super important and it's something someone can't give you. You have to do it yourself.
Yeah, we talked about, I mean, I made an Instagram post recently about, like, you've heard the glass ball analogy. Like, you're juggling several balls in your life. Some of them are made of glass and some are made of plastic. Relationships and fitness are or relationships and health, however you want to define it, are two of those things that, like, if you drop the ball, they kind of shatter, and it's really hard to, like, pick them up.
Wow,
right?
That's good.
And people think their career is like a glass ball that if you drop it, it's shattered. But most of the time, a career is like you can leave it for years and come back.
Wow.
I mean, would anyone, Jeff Bezos, if he left for 5 years and did nothing, would people be like, oh, he hasn't done anything for 5 years? They'd all be like, yeah, we'll hire Jeff Bezos or, any good employee. Like, you can usually, I've been out of IT for 3 years, and I still have, like, my former bosses are still recruiting me, like, hey, come back.
That's a good point.
You can't do that with your kids or your wife or, your brother or anything like that. I mean, you kind of have to water those things daily a little bit. Fitness is the same way. I mean, that's one of the challenges, again, is people will neglect their fitness for years, and then they want 6-week results.
I love that.
Which is a great marketing opportunity,
Sure.
but not a realistic, thing. So
I love that. Last question, then I want to kind of get into some fun last-minute lightning round questions at the end. Jordan, if someone is listening right now that currently isn't prioritizing their health, really isn't taking care of themselves, they're interested in CrossFit, they're not part of the CS&F community yet, but they do want to give it a try, what would you leave that person with? What would you tell them?
So somebody new that wants to come in and
exactly.
kind of try it out. Yeah. I would say just schedule a call with us and take a little bit of a leap of faith. I mean, we are, classified as a CrossFit gym. We do run differently. So we have a lot of things that are different than other gyms. The Coach for Life thing is basically you're going to have a one-on-one coach that's going to walk by your side from the day you come in to,
forever.
whenever you either leave or, the gym
away.
shuts down
Right.
or anything like that. So that's a kind of a game changer for a lot of people, is to have that support. We have the fundamentals process, so don't worry about, one, not knowing the movements, or two, not being fit enough to start. A lot of people think they need to get fit before they start, and it's kind of like saying I need to be sick before I go to the doctor for a check-in or something like that. I mean, there's no prerequisite amount of, like, fitness before you come in, and usually the people who we love working with are like, they don't know anything. They haven't tried to teach themselves anything on their own, because they might not have any bad habits that we have to break, right? So you can definitely come in if you're out of shape. If you're out of shape, this is kind of like the best place to be. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, let's go and do some quick lightning round questions before we conclude this conversation. So, in the realms of just the CrossFit world, okay, what is your absolute least favorite movement to do? You're an athlete, not a coach. You're performing this in a workout.
Favorite
most
movement?
Hated movement.
It would probably be a heavy squat clean thruster. That's like
a heavy squat clean thruster.
That's the worst.
What is your favorite movement to do?
Probably a ring muscle up.
Oh, ring muscle up, getting gymnasty on us. All right, your all-time favorite workout?
I really like the standard. If you've ever
30, 30, 30?
Yeah, so 30, I think it's 30 snatches.
I think snatches
basically
first,
Isabel, then 30 ring muscle ups, then 30 clean and jerks for time. It was a games, one of the last workouts of the games.
And speaking of the games, what was your favorite year of the games to date? It's 2021 right now. What's your favorite year of the games to date?
It was probably the last year Froning competed, just because.
14?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Froning.
Same.
And there was a lot of drama around Matt and Rich and who was the best and who could and would win. And it was like a different time of CrossFit.
It was a different era.
Yeah, it was a different era. Now everybody's professional and everybody's like full-time.
Yes.
Not that they weren't full-time back then, but now it's like, for a lot of people, a legitimate career.
Yes.
Back then, you kind of felt like you had a chance, and now
now you're like it's long gone.
Yeah, exactly. So 2014 was just really cool, and it was I think it was still in California.
Yep.
It was just a different mood. Josh Bridges was there, I think.
Yes.
It was really awesome.
Yeah, Dan Bailey, James Hobart were still there. I think I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Who would be one games athlete that you would like to consistently train with?
Oh man,
male or female?
That's a tough one. I would like current games athlete or past?
No, any. Yeah,
okay.
current or past.
I think so. Cole Sager actually has a really like positive and uplifting attitude.
I love Cole.
Yeah, he seems like a really just cool dude to work out with, just because he's super positive.
Yes.
So I feel like if I were doing that kind of disgusting ton of training, I would want to do it with someone like that.
That's a good point.
Versus like someone that would, either be negative or beat you down with words.
Yes.
I feel like for me personally, that would just be a better choice. So,
I love Cole Sager.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
My girlfriend is a big fan of Cole Sager.
That's awesome. Shout out to Ansley. And Cole Sager, if you're listening, please contact us. Anyways, all right, really quick hitters, lightning round before we conclude. Jordan, a little bit more about you. What is your favorite color?
Blue, probably.
What is your favorite animal?
Probably a dog, man.
Any specific kind of dog?
I mean, so Ansley's roommate has a French bulldog. He's pretty cool, Jerry.
Jerry!
Yeah, but I'm not. I mean, any dog that's friendly, I'm all about.
Dog
it.
man.
Yeah.
It's your dog over cat guy?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh, for sure.
Cats.
Favorite song right now?
Favorite song right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have no idea. Actually, there's an EDM song called PYT. Pretty Young Thing. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, that's a good song. I like
That's
that song.
awesome. Favorite movie?
From all time
All
or
time.
current?
All time. Mine's Dumb and Dumber, if it gives you any context.
Man, that's really tough. Mine is probably one of the Marvel movies. Avengers. It's probably an Avengers, but I can't choose one. But it's probably the Avengers.
We like the similar movies. We were talking about Star Wars, Mandalorian. I like Avengers. We like similar movies.
Mandalorian's definitely the best series.
Oh, for sure. What is one food you could eat any time of the day?
A burrito, probably.
Yes, you could have a breakfast burrito, a lunch burrito. I like that.
Yep.
If you could own any food franchise, be an operator of that food franchise, what would it be?
Chick-fil-A.
Yes, it's hard to beat that.
Well, I mean, you would probably make so much money, and it's good.
And it's quality, exactly.
Yeah.
Last question. If you could be the CEO of any worldwide company, what company would you be the CEO of?
Oh, man. That's tough. Any worldwide company.
I think I would do Rogue.
Rogue
Fitness.
Actually, yeah. I mean, that would be really awesome. I feel like you would get the opportunity to work with a lot of CrossFit gyms. So
yes.
That would be pretty cool. If we're talking about like gigantic companies, I think Amazon would be cool just because they have a ton of influence on like where the world is going.
Sure.
So me being me, it would probably be somehow pointing Amazon in more of a fitness direction, which they've kind of done with that acquisition of Whole Foods. But
yeah.
Yep.
Hey, Jordan, this has been great. Thank you so much for your time, and we will probably see you on another episode of the Coming Strength and Fitness Fitcast. Until then, Jordan, have a great one. See you, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for joining us today, friends. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and gained a greater understanding of the mission and vision of the CS&F community. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram under Coming Strength and Fitness, or hit us up on comingstrengthandfitness.com. See you next time.